Okay then, this week we're just gonna keep things simple. Right then, this week's video we're just going to keep it nice and simple. Right, I have a 3.5 by 8 piece of tiger wood in this. It has a little bit of sapwood here on the side. I've been doing a lot of complicated stuff lately, so I just want to go back and do something simple on video for the newer guys. Right, everybody knows my theory on wood. Pretty wood, simple shape, simple wood, pretty shape. Right, this is pretty wood. So I'm just going to do a very simple bowl so that it doesn't take away from the beauty, from the natural beauty that's in the wood. So as normal, I'm going to start it up, round it off first. Now face it off and put a mortise into it. Oh, that looks interesting. I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but there's a wave going across that one in the ground. So that's done. I want a small little foot on it. About there. And I want that to be a hard foot, so I won't be scooping the edge at all. Right, now that that's done, I'm going to stick the air shield on, because that's the tiger wood and that's going to be dusty. And we get on with turning this. As usual, I'm just going to knock the corner off. So I can get that tool to where I want it to be. And get the tool to where I want it. Is there. Then we start bringing the shape in. First thing I'm going to do is go across to that foot. Yeah, start bringing the curve in. It's a relatively small bowl, so I'm turning it faster than I normally would. Now, because I can't get in there with a push cut, because I want to keep that, I'm going to start pull cutting the base bottom. because I want that curve to go all the way to that foot. Now we pick up the push cut again. With a basic simple shape in it. Now, use a side bevel to get a nice finish cut on it. Take out any pill marks. Slightly high for that. My curve down a little. The gouge in that. Where I touched off it with the gouge, I gouged out a little bit, so I had to fix it. Right. And there we go. A very clean, simple outside of a bowl. Right, so I'll sand and Yorkshire Grit and finish the outside of that, and I'll be back in a second with the Yorkshire Grit Bit. So we'll see you in a second. Right then, this week's Yorkshire Grit Bit. Something I touched on last week, and it's something I realised I hadn't actually done. It's the Legend of St. Patrick. So it's something I hadn't done. I touched on it last week, and I realised that I hadn't actually done it. And being in Ireland, it's quite an important one. Okay, the story of St. Patrick starts around the year 380. No one's sure the exact date, but I think it's around then, right? Now, a lot about the Legend of St. Patrick is guesswork and conjecture, as a lot of the actual story has been embellished, shall we say, or lost in the annals of time. Right, now, for starters, one that's going to surprise quite a lot of people is St. Patrick was not Irish. Right. Most likely he was Welsh. That's like, when I was growing up at school, the story that we learned was he was Welsh. And in some version of the story, he's Scottish. Right, now, as a young lad, Patrick was kidnapped by Irish raiders and taken to Ireland to be sold into slavery. Yes, we did have slavery at one stage in Ireland. What we're talking thousands of years ago, right? Well, at least 1,000. Yeah, you get the idea, right? He spent the next 6 years in Ireland taking care of the sheep and pigs for his master. During this time, he became convinced that his captivity was a punishment for not taking his Christian religion seriously enough. At this stage, England and Wales and stuff had been invaded by the Romans, and the Christian religion had been brought in. Right? And he took to praying all of the time for forgiveness and deliverance from his captivity. Right? Then one night he had a vision that he'd escape back to his family in Wales or Scotland, depending on which version you're reading, where he became a priest. Now, a number of years later, he yet again had a vision about that the people of Ireland were calling him back, but he didn't think he was ready to return. So he went to France instead to study under the Bishop of Auxerre, Saint Germain. When 12 years had passed, Patrick decides that he's ready to return to Ireland. So he boarded a boat which landed at Strangford Lough, and he began to preach. Now, St. Patrick is credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland, even though he wasn't the first missionary to arrive here. It's believed that there was a missionary called Palladius that was here before him. But, as I said, this is Irish legend, so St. Patrick is the legendary one who brought it to Ireland, who brought Christianity to Ireland. Now, as the legend goes, St. Patrick was responsible for banishing all the serpents or snakes from Ireland. Now, this is, while it's true we don't have snakes in Ireland, right? The scientific reason apparently for it is that when the land bridge was connecting England, Ireland and all to Europe, that the snakes got as far as England, but that there wasn't enough of a land bridge between England and Ireland, and so the precursors to the snakes never actually got here, so which is why we don't have snakes, right? But it's also generally believed to be a metaphor for him getting rid of the old Druidic religions, which went into major decline because of his teachings, and the old gods were the serpents in the metaphor. I said that's just a quick thing on St. Patrick, right? Now, St. Patrick's Day is celebrated all over the world because the Irish race, basically, we've spread to the four corners of the earth, right? It's a day to celebrate your Irishness, and it's Ireland's biggest national holiday. Right, now, over here, it's often referred to as Paddy's Day. Never Patty's Day, right? With T's. If you're ever over here on a holiday or anything like that, and it's Paddy's Day or St. Patrick's Day, if you refer to it as Paddy's Day, you will immediately incur the ire of every Irish person who hears you. Right? It would be like somebody Irish going to America and calling your national holiday Independence Day, Independent Day. And even though somebody American would correctly correct us, still insisting that no, it's Independent Day. No, it's Paddy's Day, not or St. Patrick's Day. Never Paddy's Day. Right. It's to celebrate a man who is completely and utterly associated with Ireland, but what's really funny about the story is he wasn't Irish. So I'll keep going on this, and I'll be back when I'm doing the wax, so I'll see you in a minute. Well, then, just buffing the wax off. So pretty to the bow. Simple shape. as toners, we can often ruin a nice piece of wood by trying to go too fancy instead of just keeping it simple. Right. We're not going to beat the beauty nature has put into a piece of wood. Our job, well in my head anyway, our job as a toner is to show off what's in the wood. It's not to try and beat it. There we go. Isn't that pretty? I don't know if the camera is picking up that there. It's a tiny flash there. That's gorgeous. It almost looks like you can see inside the wood. Now, if I'd done something fancy there, you wouldn't have been able to see that. Right, we'll take this off, flip it around and hollow it. So I'll do that and be back in a sec. Right, now, first thing we're going to do is face this off. Take it with a clean cut. Grab the parting tool and mark my width. Now, as usual, I'll just hollow away unless something happens. And speed the video up. Right then, as I promised, if it never goes wrong, I wish I never made that promise sometimes. I'll show what happened and why. Right, the mortise actually went. Now that is plenty deep for a mortise, right? And if you look here, it's on the point, right? That is the depth inside, which is plenty. And that's the depth compared to the depth of the foot, which still leaves plenty there. But if you actually look there, down on the inside, that's where this went. Now, there's a few reasons that can happen. One, you can over tighten your chuck. That I didn't do that, right? This is something I'm well used to doing, right? You can over tighten your chuck, or it can just be that the piece of wood has an extremely loose grain, right? And to be honest, there's no way of knowing until this happens. There's no way of actually knowing that the wood has loose grain in it, and the grain will just separate out. Another reason that this can happen is the wood was dried incorrectly. Basically it dried out unevenly, right? And some of the grain is tight, but some of the grain opened up slightly. That can do it. There's a load of reasons that this can actually happen, but if it does, then right, if I hadn't have started to hollow, right, if I had just put it on, started tightening the chuck and it separated, I could have put it back on and redone something with it. But the way it is now, this is basically just scrap now, because I can't I can't remount it properly. I could try and remount it there, but no, it's not going to be right. I could try and find that piece, just probably on the floor somewhere, and try and glue it back in, but I wouldn't be happy with that. Like, it's still, like, if you look at it there, you can still see it's still separating away, and it's separating very, very easily. So I would say that this, the other way is just separating away there. I would say that this is just a piece of wood that has loose grain, because it's not fracturing. It's actually separating, it's not fracturing out. So I'd say this is just a piece of wood that has loose grain in it. As I said, it happens. As turners, we got to accept when stuff like this happens, and just get on with the next one. So it would have been a nice belt, a nice simple shaped belt, but it wasn't to be. So if you wouldn't mind clicking like on the video, and I'll see you in the next one.